Racism in sport is an ongoing topic. The most recent talking point is Serie A's use of images of monkeys in an anti-racism campaign less than 3 weeks after its clubs pledged to combat the serious problem. The posters have received varying responses. Joining us in studio to discuss this issue as well as other trending topics in sport is President and CEO at Elite Sports Psychology, Dr. Jason Scott Hamilton. It's a pleasure to have you.
A pleasure to be here, Mary.
All right, so let's start with this issue of racism in sports. The posters being plastered now by Syria. What would have been going through their mind to, come up with such a campaign?
I really don't understand how someone could think pictures of 4 different monkeys with different paint, and they've referred to athletes with a lot of melanin in their skin as monkeys. How would somebody think to be using that as a poster? It's as if the powers that be are laughing. There they are. And the issue of racism, we've been discussing this. You have great players with melanin of color,
yes,
and they haven't been given an opportunity to be managers after their career. Like right now, Vieira and Thierry Henry should be considered for the team I really like, Arsenal, even though we're not doing so well.
Yeah.
So racism is an issue. It's always been an issue. When FIFA is talking about no to racism, if the athletes wanted to support Balotelli the other day when he kicked away the ball, they should all just get together and come off the field.
Yeah.
Because if they came off, it's one thing to say we're going to stop for a game, but if all of them came off, the game would be finished. And unity that way would result in something.
How does this issue of racism, affect players and their performance?
Mentally, we'll get into it in a little while, but there's a region of your brain called the limbic cortical region.
Yes.
And the limbic cortical region is there to protect us. So when we get emotional and you have athletes getting aggressive because of this, so having fruit thrown at you, being called a monkey, it can get athletes to get very angry, therefore being off their game.
How does the brain and the mind affect an athlete's performance? Some of them get it. You teach every one of them the same thing. Some of them get it, some don't.
Some of them don't. Okay. 2 athletes that you will say, 2 athletes from Jamaica that get it, Usain Bolt, Shelly Ann. Every time I see them smiling before a race, I know they've gotten it.
Right.
Because your body is going to release serotonin and norepinephrine. They're going to be in a good place, right? So you're asking about the brain. Corpus callosum separate left hemisphere, right hemisphere. Prefrontal cortex is what controlling executive function. The limbic cortical region, you see an athlete getting very agitated and angry. Some people it works for, but most times the best performance an athlete can have is when they're in that flow state, in a good mood, good place, having fun. Sport in its essence is fun, So yes, it's the business and this is how they're going to make a living. But if you hate, and there have been athletes who hate doing their job, which is the sport, that's the mind affecting performance.
You've worked with some really top athletes in sport. Many of them have credited you for assisting them. How do athletes function in a collective sport? Recently, we saw Shimron Hetmyer, West Indies batsman.
Yes.
He has been struggling. We saw him make 100. So
right.
It seems like his form is coming back. It's a team sport, right?
Correct.
How do individual athletes, strengthen their mind to become stronger and be a part of a collective unit?
Okay, good question. He just had his 5th ODI Sunday.
Yeah.
If you remember, when he started out, he didn't start out so well. Single digit, some low scores. Then he had his maiden century over in the Emirates. He's starting to enjoy.
Yes.
So even though, and he likes Lara. Lara is his example. When he's having a good time, when he's enjoying cricket, and then to go to your question about getting the team.
Yeah.
I worked with the West Indies senior team when Dave Cameron was president.
How was it?
It was good. It was hard because there's a lot of different islands, and but if you get them together around one thing, wanting that one thing, and then they're all going to get it if everybody come together. Yeah, they did that. They can do that.
But how do you get different personalities, to see the same vision?
Okay. What I do is I do a neuropsych evaluation of each player. So they're going to give me their 3 goals for the year, then the 3 goals for the future. Then pretend Dr. Hamilton is a genie. Give me 3 wishes that would make your life perfect.
Yes.
Then 3 things you don't like about how you're performing. Also, they're going to answer a neuropsych Likert questionnaire. 1 is I want Dr. Hamilton to help me as an answer. 2 is I kind of want him to help me. 3, I don't want him to help me. We then do a behavior contract with management and coach. So the athletes themselves feel that management and coaches are buying in to what I am trying. So management will say, I need you to do these 3 behaviors.
Yeah.
And then coach will say, I need you to do these 3 behaviors. And if the athlete himself does the 3 things, then they're rewarded. It's easy to find people in the senior team. If you miss a meeting, anything at top level, you get fined. But if you give an athlete an incentive, and it's not just man of the match, there's other ways for them, and then everybody gelling and working towards the same thing, then you're getting buy-in. Everybody's buying in the team. But I've been working with Harborview for years. I've been with JC for over 15 years with the Manning Cup and track and field. So I've been helping a lot of teams and a lot of individual athletes.
Yeah, so we see, the need for sports psychologists and the importance in every different discipline. So I know you came very well prepared for us today, and you brought a PowerPoint presentation. So let's go through the points that you wanted to highlight.
Okay. So this gentleman in the first is Dr. Stephen Peters. I think he's possibly one of the best sports psychologists in the world. In 2010, he was given an athlete. That's him, Sir Christopher Hoy. That athlete went on to win the Tour de France, first Englishman. So the following year, England gave him 4 other athletes, Victoria Pendleton, Christopher Hoy, and 2 others. All 4 in 2012 won gold at the Olympics. When Liverpool, the Premier League team, saw that he did that, so in 2012, Liverpool hired him to be the sports psychologist for Liverpool. And for those of you following Premier League, you'll remember that 2013 was one of their top years till Gerrard made a mistake. So he's really a great sports psychologist. He has this theory. He's breaking down the brain, a very difficult thing, into simple, where he says there's the human, the chimp, and the computer. So let me use you as an example.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you 3 scenarios and you'll understand. The human is us, we're slow. The chimp is the limbic cortical region, the emotional part.
Yeah.
It's 5 times stronger. If a chimpanzee came into the office in here now, it'd slap up the 2 of us. You understand? So the computer is who you want to do performance. If you hear a new song and you want to dance it, you let your computer do the dance.
Yes, so that's the execution.
Right, execution. So it's motor memory, you keep doing. If you were to think to play table tennis, you'd look stupid. Put your right hand here, put your left leg here. No, you keep practicing and it's motor memory.
Natural.
So you want the computer to do performance, you want the chimp if you need to protect yourself, right? So in the 3 scenarios, you're a world-class piano player. You've been playing the piano since you're 4. And you could play with your blindfold. It's a difficult piece of Mozart concerto. Everybody's in the national arena. All your family, everybody you love is there watching you. So give me a sibling, anybody, name.
Crystal.
Crystal comes on stage and said, would you like a glass of water? Whenever you get a question, it goes straight to your emotional part of your brain, the chimp. And the chimp is always angry and protected. And your chimp is like, why is he asking me this stupidness? Can't you see I'm playing the piano in front of all of these people? So all of a sudden you're getting upset, you're not playing so well. And then it takes the human a while to calm down the chimp, saying it's a simple question. You either want the water or you don't want the water. So after a while it calms it down and you go back to playing and it's a computer is playing, so it's beautiful. That's scenario 1. Scenario 2, give me somebody else, another member of your family.
My brother.
Your brother.
Yeah.
Okay.
Satish.
Satish. So Satish comes on stage and says, Maria, I want to know how your brain and your few fingers make this beautiful music.
Yeah.
All of a sudden goes to the chimp again, the emotional part. Your chimp is going crazy.
So
why is he
so
asking
important.
me
Yeah.
stupidness? The 3rd scenario would be me and some other doctors come on and we're around you, so we're close, and halitosis, breath, not smelling so good, whatever, but we're close, so we're infringing on your space, and we're touching your shoulder, and your chimp is now getting angry.
Yeah.
So you do something unladylike, or not ladylike, you kick over the table, you kick over the piano, you tell everybody about their business, and you storm off the stage. Those three scenarios is every athlete, everybody in performance. My job is to help the chimp not show up for performance.
And what would you say, based on the cases that you have dealt with, and we're going to move across to the next slide as soon as I ask you this, you know, how big of an impact are you able to have on athletes in doing that, and helping them to control their emotions?
Well, if they understand and they buy in, see, what I try to tell the athletes is I'm going to introduce you to yourself in the future, because in the future you're going to say, if I knew then what I know now, I'd have been a better athlete.
Yeah.
Many great athletes, you know. So rather than, you know, I try to get them to understand. And if they buy it and they start to click, and then my athletes, if you see athletes I work with, they're smiling.
Yeah.
They're enjoying themselves.
They got it.
And if they're smiling and enjoying themselves and beating people, then it click. Every time you see
like
Shelly Ann, when I saw Shelly Ann smile before that race, it was finished. There was another girl beating a person. I called people from Miami. I said, she's not even going to finish the race. And she pulled up.
And we see how important having sports psychologists, you know, just grinding that in you to ensure that you know. So let's move to your next slide and the next point you wanted to talk about. Okay,
so next slide is financial benefits. So if the team is doing well, if the team wins the big thing, they do well. Liverpool did very well when Stephen Peters was a sports psychologist. So that's me with the West Indies team, that's me with JC. That person to the right of me is my favorite player from JC, Martin Woodstock, and to the left is Jimmy Sinclair. The other person is Clive Lloyd. So he was the captain of the West Indies. If you look it up in the Guinness Book of World Records, the West Indies team was the winningest team in the history of the world. Not sure where they are right now.
Not good right now.
I'm not going there. I did work with Anna Dave. Yeah. So the next slide, well, go on.
No, I want you to continue with your points and explain to us, you know, how important, you know, just having a sports psychologist in the lives of these athletes to push them to their full potential.
Yeah. I'm a clinical psychologist by training. I am licensed with the Supplementary to Medicine Board here in Jamaica. I'm one of the only ones, to my knowledge, that's licensed. This here is a presentation I did for the Dolphins. So if you keep banging the front of your head, prefrontal cortex, which control executive function, that's the thing that say, you shouldn't hit that person. But if you have a lot of alcohol or something and you feel like it in the person, you might go do it. If you keep banging it, these guys become aggressive, right? And Junior Seau, he committed suicide, shooting himself, but cutting his head, saying, please take my head off and examine it. Something strange is happening. So I work with them on aggression.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily treating them for clinical issues. A lot of people think if you go to a psychologist, a sports psychologist, it's because something is wrong with you.
And you need help. Yeah.
No, I'm there to help you perform when you need to perform. A lot of athletes can perform very well in practice, but then they get to crunch time and they can't deliver when all the lights and all the pressure is on them. That's where I work.
So the other point you wanted to discuss with us would include the world's most winningest team.
And that man, okay, so the world's winningest team was the West Indies. The man below it is part of the reason why I am a sports psychologist. He was a coach. He coached us in Miami for about 7 years. He coached Clarendon College. Coached teacher Hyde, who just won the Olivia Shield. His name was Winston Chongfa. We call him Nava. He was my father's very good friend. He got the highest award from FIFA, which is called the Merit Award. The person who got the award before him was Nelson Mandela. And that final slide down there is me presenting at a sports psychology conference in Stockholm, Sweden. The largest sport on planet Earth. What do you think is the largest sport on planet Earth?
For me, well, on planet Earth, let's say Football.
Yeah, everybody would say football. The largest sport, and people would say, doc, that is not a sport. Chess is a sport. The largest sport on planet Earth right now is called esports. 1.4 billion people playing this thing. I was in Sweden, and 4 boys from Korea got 13 million for winning this esports
Chess game, yeah. So you spoke about, helping athletes that are not in a proper mental state. How do you keep athletes that are at the top of their game? How do we keep them at that position? Because most times they say when you reach the top, you could only go down.
Yeah, and then there's that, and then there's also transition. You're leaving that and you're going on to retirement. If you're looking up, you'll see where I have Shaquille O'Neal saying things with me. Jason Taylor of the Dolphins, Daniel Leva said some real nice things. So he's a 5-time world champion, 2-time Olympic medalist in gymnastics. He just won American Ninja, that thing. So how you keep them at that level is you have to get them to understand that even though you've won, like you said, LeBron, right after winning MVP and everything, he put himself at a personal challenge. He's challenging himself to be better. So it's like you're starting anew.
Back at zero,
exactly. Right. You asked earlier the cricketer, right? Hetmeyer. And his initial iteration, when he started, like I said, he didn't start so hot. Then he's now playing like his idol. How you keep it there is enjoying himself. And once you start to click, that the best cricket, I have not met him, but I know some of the best cricket he's ever played was when he was younger and just having a good time. And if you can tap into that as an athlete, right? Because sometimes they think, I need to be so serious. You're overthinking it. Sports is not that hard mentally. Golf is a hard sport. I have a lot of golfers.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're moving that ball. But if you do the same thing every round and it's working, and it's what I come up with this term, the mental surfboard.
Yeah.
So you say, you're not saying I need to birdie that hole because I double bogey the last hole. No, you stay and you do the same routine every hole, and that's how I have golfers right now shooting high 60s and low 70s. And that's good in golf.
And you're maintaining that.
Yeah.
All right, so well, I want to thank you so much.
The final one?
Go ahead, you go ahead.
This final slide.
Yeah, your final point.
The final slide there, people. And do have it there to go. So the legend.
Yeah.
So that's the legend. That's my father, Howard Hamilton, and that's also part JC. And he said, so that's Dr. you say in St. Leo boat, he said, he agreed with me that mental strength is as important to an elite athlete's performance, so the mind.
Yeah, the mind definitely shapes how you perform.
Of course. The difference between, what you were saying is the difference between a good athlete and a great athlete is the mind. So my quote is, the best performance is between your ears.
Well, I want to thank you so much, Dr. Hamilton, for just coming on set with us and, enlightening us on how important training your mind is in order to ensure that you execute a good performance. We will be chatting with you in the future again as we continue to highlight different issues in sports.
Thank you very much. It was my pleasure.